Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with Lindsay Bjorklund, one of my favorite podcasts because we really just get you guys and you gals and what's going on. So if you are listening and you want some help, reach out to support at growmycleaningcompany.com. Let Lindsay know. We might even, if you're really, really good, have you on the podcast and we could do a live coach, something like that. We've done that before, haven't done it in a while. Anyway, that's where we're at. Welcome to the party. Your questions about how to grow a cleaning company, our answers. Let's go. Who's first, Lindsay?
All right. I saw a plethora of employee concerns questions out there in the Facebook group. So I'm going to kind of start with that theme of employee questions, and hopefully we have some answers here, I'm sure. All right. So first we're going to go to Kirsten or Kirsten. With my Swedish last name, I'm going to say Kirsten. She posted in the Facebook group. I'm going to summarize it because she had a lot to say and she's really struggling, Mike. So basically the situation is she had a great long-term employee who used to be enthusiastic, motivated, and suddenly this employee did like a 180 turn and turned disrespectful, sarcastic, insubordinate. She's had issues come up with this person over the years, but they've always resolved it, had hugs, whatever. So he's never been this bad before and she's confused. So she's basically not sure if she should just fire him or just give him one more chance. What would you do in this situation, Mike?
It's a great question. I love that question, Kirsten, because it's so representative of a lot of what people struggle with. And if I may, I'm going to give you what I think is the answer that you need, not the answer that you want. So the answer that, and not that and usually I'll give you the answer you need and the answer you want, but to be transparent, I would need more nuanced detail. I'd have to have a conversation with Kirsten to give a real, like, it would be irresponsible of me to get a paragraph from Facebook and be like, yeah, fire that dude. Or let's give him another, like, that's just, that's not helpful. But I can give you exactly what the problem is and exactly how to solve it, which was the meta problem, the big problem, the thing that's really holding you back. So one of the biggest issues we have as owners of cleaning companies is most of the time our hiring process sucks. And when I say sucks, I don't just mean it's ineffective. I mean, we hate it. Right? It's some version of like, I put out an ad and I get like 150 applications. I'm overwhelmed. And I would never tell anyone this, but because hiring is my biggest thing and I spend money to get those applications, but I call 23 of them and then I just give up because I'm overwhelmed. Right? And then we all judge ourselves and feel crappy about it. And then of those 23, maybe you wrangle like, God willing, 8 one-on-one interviews over a span of 2 or 3 days, which just shoot your whole situation. And those 8, half don't even show up. Right? So you get 2 or 3 or 4 that do show up. And of those that come in, half or 60, 70% don't speak English, don't have a car. Just they're instantly, you walk in, you're like, this is not for me. And then God willing, you've got 0 to like 2 people that aren't great, but they weren't immediately disqualified and we're desperate. So we're like, can you start tonight? Like, can you start today? Can we go? And it's a brutal system for you as the owner, right? Like I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm trying to make you feel good by going, yeah, if that was a system any of us had to follow, we'd all hate it and no one would do it. But we think it's us or the people or the ad, or we think it's a bunch of stuff. It's really the system we have in place. So what happens is we just quit on that system because it's too painful. And we quit in one of 2 spots. One being it's just me. And then we tell ourselves this lie, it's easier for me just to clean forever than do this. And maybe it is to do that. But we translate it to it's easier for me just to do it myself than to hire a team, which is like, well, using the system you've got, of course it is. Or, God willing, we've got a couple people that we trust. They're just not enough. Like they're overworked. If one quits, we're screwed. So we kind of just like, and maybe they're not even like with this guy that we're dealing with. Sounds like he's a 10 or a 2. Like he's not a solid 7. He's a 10, 3 or 4 weeks out of 4 or 5, but then a 2 every 1 or 2 or 6 months, which is scary when he's all of your people, right? Like that's a just terrifying spot to be. So we either quit the hiring staff process when we have no staff, right? It's just us. And then we go back to cleaning, or we're way understaffed. We're doing some of the cleaning, or if nobody moves, everything will work. Just nothing can happen. And then stuff does happen. People call out or this guy gets flaky and the inmates start running the asylum because they know you need me way more than I can get another crappy job tomorrow, but I know you can't find me. So we start letting them run. It's a terrible way to exist. So the meta solution, the overall solution, Kirsten, that we want to get into place is a hiring system that you actually like, that's super effective, that isn't painful, that feels good. So the big concept is you want a stream of applicants and employees, not a pond. So we kind of have this thing of like, and again, for our team, like when you're not working with cleaners or fast food or stuff like that, you can have a pond. Like, you're like, well, that's not fair. Lindsay's been with you for a year. She's a pond. She's not a stream. There's been a new Lindsay coming in every 10 seconds. Like, yeah, but I'm guessing if I had a cleaning company and Lindsay for some reason wanted to clean for a minute, she would have been gone after 3.5 months, right? Like, it would have been a good job for that little time in her life. And then she's like, and now I want something different. Maybe it would have worked out great and she stayed 9 months. And I'm not saying zero people stay 5 or 10 years. I'm just saying you can't build a business on that. So when it comes to cleaning your high labor, kind of low pay jobs, just churn's gonna be higher than normal. Like, that's fine. We're not looking for a zero churn. It's unrealistic. Um, so we need, because of that, and because people quit with a 0 day notice, and to really do a hiring process right, it can take a week or two to get a stranger to like fully, a stranger to come to an interview and then onboarded and then know what's going on and on payroll and blah, blah, blah. But because people quit in an instant, well, now we're 2 weeks behind the 8 ball, right? Because the system that we have to hire sucks. So what you really need, Kirsten, is create a system that you enjoy that works all the time. So that's that. We can't get way into it now, but the big picture, because we've got other questions, but the big picture is you should have an ad running all the time, right? When you're selling labor effectively, you should be able to buy labor consistently, right? It's crazy that we're going out and being like, hey, I will get people to clean your house or your building. Like, what's your system to get people to do that? Oh, I don't have anything. Like, well, then what are we doing here? Like, that'd be like when I had my car dealership. Where do we get cars? I don't know. I just hope they come in. Friends and family maybe sell cars. It's like, no, we got a bunch of auctions. We got a whole thing. There's a whole system. And it was a pain in the butt, but because we were in the car business, we had to have a system for buying cars. That's how that works. So you're in the labor business. You have to have a system for buying labor. The way that we would coach is stream, not a pond. So there's always people coming in. So there should always be an ad running. And instead of you personally having to call these people, that's untenable. You want to automate the front end. So they kind of come to the first interview automated, right? As opposed to, hey, Lindsay, it's Mike. You applied. What job? Who's this? Oh, I'm Mike. I'm the thing. Well, can you do Tuesday? I can't do Tuesday. Like, it's just, I'm more not even just role playing it. We might get 100 applicants, and as opposed to me calling all 100 or saying I'm going to call 100, calling 23 and then giving up, why not just automatically have a system where I email or text or kind of reach out to them and just invite them? And you're like, well, a lot of people aren't going to do that. Like, they want to call. Yeah, but I promise you, an automated system of text and emails going out to 100 people is going to be way better than you personally calling 12 or 20 or however many you can stomach, right? Especially if you're doing it every goddamn week. You think you're like, I can do, oh, I didn't do 20, I did 43, Mike. Great. Now do it next week and the week after and the week after, forever. That 43 will drop pretty quick to forget it. I quit to 0, right? So I'd rather have an automated 100 a month or 100 a week going out than whatever. And then as opposed to trying to do a one-on-one, invite them to a group deal. And then you can kind of you can leverage your time. And that way you're only in it an hour a week, half hour a week, right? You get 5-10 people. The really good ones you invite to the one-on-one. So you see how you turn it from this heavy system that's painful to a system that works all the time. And then what we coach our clients to do is you actually turn that system over to your employees. So you don't have to do any of it. But that's kind of advanced for you right now, Kirsten. Just get a good, and by the way, get a good core values-based ad running, not some boring, fast-growing company looking for hardworking people, flexible pay, good hours. That's what everybody else says. So get a good ad, automate the system, have it run all the time, and eventually turn it over to your cleaner. So we really need a system for hiring, regardless if you keep or don't keep this guy. And I'm pretty sure if you had that system for hiring, you had a bunch of good people coming every month, you fire them immediately, which shows what probably needs to happen. Hey, Clean Nation, Mike Campion here. One of my least favorite things about these podcasts are we found that people love the show and they love the information, but when I talk to you guys in person, stuff doesn't get done. People love the podcast, but they don't take any action. If you'd like to actually implement this and get this done in your world, we have a whole team of people that do exactly that. If you go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, you can book a time with either myself personally or one of our teammates to at least help you come up with a plan to actually implement and change your life. So if you want to go from getting these good ideas in your head to getting them in your life, just book a free call with myself or my team, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. And we can go from this one-to-many format to one-to-one and really get you some results. Excited to talk. Okay. That was a long way around, Lindsay.
Quick follow-up question. You mentioned a churn rate for employees in there. in your long rant. Is there a benchmark that is a red flag for a churn rate where you know something's wrong with your hiring system? Like,
It's a
is
really good
5%
question.
bad, 15%?
This is why we love having Lindsay. I say a bunch of stuff. She's like, what do you mean? Like, tell me, like, help, like, give me some data. Haven't done this for a decade. So a lot of the stuff that we do, I can, like, when it comes to cost of goods sold or profit or revenue, we've got pretty good benchmarks. On this one, it's like, poof, it varies a lot. So I'll give you what I would use, but this isn't a like a data. This is I've been doing this for a decade, and it's a better rule of thumb than like spot on, if that makes sense. But it'll help get you 80% of what you're asking, Lindsay, and I think it will help our listeners. So typically, when a culture is not great, 1 out of 3 hires is going to stay 90 days. And for me, I just use the 90 days because beyond that, it's kind of somewhat luck, right? Like just again, Lindsay, she came in and I had a good culture and she liked it. She liked the people she's working with. She enjoyed it. Whether she stays 6 months or 16 months probably has more to do with her and her living situation and if she needs the money and blah, blah, blah. So I can't really control that. So if 1 in 3 or less are staying 90 days, to me, that would be a hiring and culture issue. If 2 and 3 are staying 90 days or more, I'm like, we're good. Because again, obviously on a salaried place, it's still not going to be 3 out of 3, right?
Yeah.
It might be 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7, but it's never going to be 100%. That's unrealistic. So that 2/3 staying at least 90 days, if I've got that in my system, I feel pretty good.
Okay.
But that's the data. Let me kind of give the caveat that why I can't just be like, this is hard data, is a lot of it I just go by the gut, right? And we also coach weekly meetings, monthly parties, quarterly reviews, and that, because again, the goal is to create an experience that people can't get anywhere else, not because you're not going to pay more than you don't want to get in that game of paying more because a guy or gal making $25 an hour is not 30% better than someone making 20 or whatever the difference is, right? It's not that. Again, you got to pay fair for your area, but so does everybody else. So it's fair competition. So to answer your question, all that to say, if people are churning or you feel like they're leaving or they're pissed off or not treating you like, you can have the 2 out of 3 stay 90 days and still feel like something's fishy. So there's kind of some nuance, like what's going on with the culture, like are people liking it? Are you hiring the right people? There can be some other things. So that's why it's only a rule of thumb, not a like, if you're over this, everything's great. If you're under this, everything's wrong. But I wouldn't put it in my top 3 things of worrying about if at least 2 out of 3 are staying 90 days or more.
Got it. Sounds good. Just like some numbers for Cleaning Nation to give them some
Yeah,
guidelines.
for sure.
All right. Here's another employee related question. Amy posted in the Facebook. Do you inform employees that rarely ever get complaints, say maybe 1 out of every 25 or 50 cleans? Do you inform them of all the complaints, or do you just bite the bullet and not bring the negative feedback to them each time? She can see both sides of this.
Wow. Gosh, I'm loving these questions because they're kind of assuming things that I think are not going to help. So like, let's undo that assumption. We come at it looking at a way, I think looking at the situation, a way that things a little more effective. It gets a lot easier and clearer. Okay. So I would not see negative feedback as an affront. Or perfect example for Lindsay, if one of her clients came to, and again, then I don't like people talking behind their back, but if it was appropriate in our situation for like, they wouldn't talk to Lynn. They just came to me and said, hey, I had a problem. Lindsay did this and the quality of work wasn't any good. And I told Lindsay, I wouldn't be like, oh no, Lindsay, I don't want to hurt her feelings. I don't want to feel bad unnecessarily, but I wouldn't be worried she's going to be pissed or quit or anything like that. Cause she's going to be curious, like, oh shoot, I want people to have a good experience. Well, like she's going to see it as an opportunity to improve. Like, oh, what did I do wrong? How can I do better? So if I don't, and she would probably be angry and feel a little condescended to if I was like, oh, her majesty can't handle that feedback. She'd be like, well, how can I get better if nobody tells me what the heck's going on? So for the right employee, I don't want to say they'd be offended if you didn't tell them, but it would have a negative, they wouldn't feel good about not being told. They wouldn't be like, oh, thank you for protecting my delicate little feelings. Like if they really want to do a good job, they really want to do a good job. And it's like, if the person was like, Lindsay smells bad and is an unattractive human, like, yeah, I'm probably not going to share that, which we've never gotten. Lindsay, this smells great and is a very attractive human. So yeah, obviously if they're, if it's inappropriate complaint that's not, it's like a physical or personal attack, well, that's a whole different kettle of fish. But that's a customer problem that I may not, but I'm going to rip that. I'm not putting up with anyone talking to any of my people that way. But if it's like legitimately Lindsay's job was X and Y and she did A and B, well, yeah, Lindsay wants to hear about that. And maybe Lindsay's like, God dang it, I missed that. You're right. Thank you. And maybe Lindsay's like, no, I did do that. But we can have the conversation. So short answer, I'm going to give all the feedback, but let me give a little supercharge. I think will help that. Lindsay knows this because we've been setting up done for you customer happiness for our clients where we do all this for them. And which is fun because there's a lot of stuff I do in my business that I hadn't coached, not because I was trying to trick anyone. You just don't think about it until you have to do it. And you're like, oh, here's how I would do it. And I'm like, oh, geez, I should have been coaching my people to do that. So I'm going to coach y'all how to do this. I think most of the time we look to catch people doing something wrong, and we'll even focus people's attention on the things that are wrong. Like, how do we make any mistakes? Anything we could do better? And even if I had a good experience and you're like, what could have I done better? Well, now I'm going to think of ways that you failed and my experience might go down, right? Like, well, I thought I was happy until I thought about it and the way you are. But if you come in and be like, hey, Lindsay, it's Mike's Cleaning Company. I know you got your house clean yesterday. I just want to make sure it's the best day of your week when you came home. Did you feel great? And if she's has a problem and goes, honestly, I did, Mike. Oh no, tell me about that. Like, I'm not saying we're trying to sugarcoat whatever, but if she kind of just felt good, and most people do enjoy when they come home, or business, whatever. Did you feel good when you came in? You're like, oh, so glad I don't have to deal with that. I'm going to phrase it in a positive way and try and catch our people doing things right. Right. So we're always trying to, not always, but the default is to try and find problems and fix them. I'm going to try and get them to be like, I really love this. And if they don't, I want to hear it. I'm not saying we're going to steamroll over real problems, but I don't want to look for problems. I want to look for them to go, I love it. I'm super happy. And I'll even set it up, for our customer happiness managers, they coordinate with our schedulers, and the scheduler will tell Lindsay. So say Lindsay's going to go clean something. Most of the time I go, oh, I don't want to tell them when it's going to happen because I want to get a true vision. I'm like, I just want a happy goddamn customer, right? So why wouldn't I tell Lindsay? Like, let's make it open. But what am I trying to trick her into getting a bad review? Why don't I just tell her, we're going to call the person, ask what their experience is tomorrow. You're cleaning today. Any thoughts? Well, guess what? The likelihood I'm going to call tomorrow and get a positive review just went up. Why am I trying to trick Lindsay into pissing off our cut? It's crazy talk. So short answer, yes, I'm going to give all feedback to all my clients. That's appropriate, right? Again, if it's a personal attack or something that's, just mean or hurtful or has nothing to do with the cleaning, that's a different category. But if it's strictly related to their performance or the clean was this, or even if they're mad, the clean was terrible or something was stolen, that's not a personal attack. This was stolen. And I know Lindsay did it because she's shifty. Well, I may not share that with Lindsay, but the fact is something was stolen. And the fact is Lindsay was in that house at this time. Like, I'm not saying anything. I'm just sharing goddamn facts, right? So I'm going to try and catch people doing right and my goal is Lindsay's hearing all the feedback and she's getting 5 or 6 or 7 positive pieces of feedback. Oh, so when I call and go, was it the best day? Yeah. Well, Lindsay loves you guys. And I know she was really excited. I told her I was going to call today and she really want to make sure you're happy. Is there anything specific I can tell her? That and then I'm going to give very specific, because they're going to hear the negative feedback. So we want to get that and deal with it before it becomes a problem, but we don't want to, harp on it, and they're not going to hear the positive feedback. And when they do, it's generally like, yeah, they did a good job. But I want to get specific. And you really want to get fancy. We're going to actually, when they did a good job, we're going to be like, hey, if Lindsay did a great job and you want to say thank you, we give a gift to the cleaners when they get a 5-star review. Can I text you over the link for you to do that right now, or a video recommendation, or an online recommendation like Nextdoor, a community, whatever. So anyway, all that to say, yes, give all the feedback, but go looking for positive feedback and create lots of positive feedback. Not only is it great for the cleaner, but if I just say, yeah, that was the best day when I came into work yesterday. And you're right, I haven't had a problem with you guys in months and I haven't thought about that, but yeah, this really is great. The likelihood I'm going to quit anytime soon is 0. And I might have felt that way before, but you never asked me. I didn't articulate it. It didn't really do any good for me or for you. But if you, I don't want to say force me, but if you invite me to articulate that in a clear way, things change. Okay. We should have time for 90 more questions, and we have time for 0 more, because I'm a bit of a blowhard, but those were such good questions, and I think they were worth the time. So maybe we double down on this next week if people keep wanting it. Anything I'm missing before I start wrapping, Lindsay?
Oh, one more note. You sparked a thing in my head that I actually learned from you, Mike, is praise in public and feedback in private.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah.
Only time I violate that is if I don't call someone out personally. So say Lindsay got some negative feedback on X and I want everyone to do X. I might mention, hey guys, we gotten some feedback for some of the team that blah, 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 blah. Could you do a better job here? I'm not going to go, Lindsay, you did this and you need to, you blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to kind of, so that would be the only time I would kind of give. Yeah. But I love the praise in public. And my favorite, here's a bonus, since we're not doing another question. I love praising behind people's back.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's the worst, by the way, is, if I have something negative to say to Lindsay, I should absolutely say it to Lindsay. When I start telling other people and then it gets to Lindsay, that my relationship with her is probably shot. Like it's going to be tough to repair that, the trust and all that.
That'll kill your culture. Yeah.
It'll kill everything. It feels gross for me. It kills gross. And then even the person in the middle, they're like, well, Mike said this to me about Lindsay. What does he say to Lindsay about me? Like, and he or she's right. Of course why would I just talk crap about Lindsay? If that's who I am, I'm going to talk crap about anyone that'll listen. So it couldn't be more corrosive. The flip side is when I talk nicely behind people's back and it gets back to them, it feels fantastic. So I'll leave you with a scene from The Office, which is the great philosophers of The Office. They were at a job fair and the boss was trying to get some kid to come to their place. And one of the women that worked with him had left. And he's like, she's really a lovely person. I would never say that to her face, but she's really great. And one of the other coworkers over her said, why wouldn't you say that to her? That's such a nice thing. Like, he's like, I would never tell her, but she's really a tremendous human being. It's like, why would you keep that between the two of you? It's okay. So, all right, guys. Hopefully this is of value. If you heard some things that you like or need more one-on-one help with, please reach out to us as a team. All we do every day, all day, is try and help. Our philosophy is all the information we do, everything we can to help you for free. If and when you want us to actually do the work and help you implement it together, obviously we would charge for that. But when you reach out to help, we've got coaches that are here to help you get clear on where you're at, where you want to be, make a plan. We're not scary in the least. Well, maybe some of us, but we try to be good. Reach out if you need some help, do something different, and we'll talk soon. See you. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.